Buy cheap and safe NBA 2K22 MT at NBA2King.com. You can use code Excapar, that's EXCAPAR, for 5% off your entire purchase. Alright, everybody, we have the best power forwards tier list. I think I'm going to just barely be able to get these all done right before the new season drops, which is pretty cool. We can see how it is going. We've already done the point guards, the shooting guards, the small forwards, and the best cards tier list. All of those are linked in the description down below. The moments in prime time drop won't be in some of those. I apologize, but you know, it is what it is sometimes. I'm ahead of the game, and sometimes I'm a little bit behind. So, yeah, it happens. Either way, this is going to be on the best power forwards. I will say the tier list is a little late compared to some other ones, but it's all good. Just means the video may be a little bit quicker for those watching. Anyway, hit the like button, subscribe button, all that wonderful stuff. Check out the MT sponsor. And now let's check out everybody in the hard pass tier, like we always do. Ruby Dennis Rodman. I mean, are you really that surprised? I just now ended up finishing that because I had to get some XP to get level 40. It's one of the worst cards ever in 2K. Like, this guy's just... he's pretty terrible. Let's be honest. He's pretty bad. Robert Horry is just basically a shooter, but who really needs Robert Horry to be doing the shooting like that? I really don't, but, you know, that's just me. He's alright, but just, yeah, he's really not my cup of tea, to be honest. Next one is our guy, Jermaine O'Neill. Just too slow and just not really a good shooter. I just gotta put him in here because I still see some people every now and then using this Jermaine O'Neill, and I can't for the life of me understand it, like, at all. I don't understand why you would ever use it. Like, yeah, you pull the diamond out of the promo packs, but he's just not worth it. Anyway, next up is the man Kellogg, who should be pretty cool. I just don't really care for him, like, at all. If you want to move him up a tier, that's fine. But he's got jump shot 18, and I hate that jumper with a passion, so I'm leaving him in the hard pass tier. Lauri Markkanen is next. Should be a nice stretch big, but dude is a pup. Doesn't get any rebounds. He can't even paint mash, which is like the best thing to do with centers. And just doesn't play defense. Like, Lauri Markkanen, not my cup of tea. And then Michael Porter Jr. is pretty cool. He's a nice, like, shooting, like, power forward, but the guy is just, again, a pup. Like, you're not stopping anybody on defense if you're using this Michael Porter Jr. It's just how it is. It sucks that it's that way, but, you know, what can you do? Anyway, and that finishes off our hard pass tier. I told you, it's a little late. There's not as many power forwards, but I will say I think we have some higher quality power forwards or guys that you can run into power forwards. You know, there's that. Most of you guys are still decent tier as well right off rip, but we're starting with Amethyst Ruby Hachimura. A pretty good card, I'll say that. He can be fun, but just really not my cup of tea. Another guy who doesn't really play too much defense. He can be a good slasher, and he does have like the wannabe Carmelo Anthony jumper, which is pretty cool. But for, I don't know, my general use, I'm not ever gonna really whipping out this Amethyst Ruby Hachimura. He can be fun, but just nah. Next up is Diamond Rick Barry, who should be a lot better than he is, but he gets cursed with that beautiful, absolutely wonderful jump shot 18 jumper. Same one that you may have used with like Manu Ginobili, and it's just trash, man. It is trash. I absolutely hate it. Like, yeah, I absolutely hate it. I do not like it at all. Next up is my man Nemanja Bjelica, who I know a lot of people actually like, which is why I included him on this list. But for me personally, it's just meh. Like, I just don't really love the card too much, to be honest. I know some people that do have an absolute blast with this guy, but he's just nah to me. Like, just nah. Like, he's got jump shot 70, so I think people like him, but he's got the base dribble style. I just haven't really seen him be too great of a rebound or anything like that. Just, yeah. Like, he's a good card, I'll say that, but again, I don't really think he's anything crazy. He's just a good shooter. Next up is Ruby Larry Bird. Larry Bird jumper on normal timing is a little bit slow. You gotta be careful with that base dribble style and that. He does have some nice all-around badges. I do have the card myself. I just don't really feel like if you're gonna be running a power forward or a small forward, it should be this Ruby Larry Bird. Next up is Sapphire Kenyan Martin, who actually was better than I anticipated, but just has a interesting jumper. Kenyan Martin plays defense, gets boards, you know, plays a bit in the post, some finishing. He has a bit of shooting if he wanted to, but I just, again, I don't really see a reason that you should be using this Kenyan Martin over a lot of the other power forwards or guys you can run at the power forward just like in the game. Next up is our guy Amethyst Julius Randle, who is, I will say, again, a pretty good card for sure. Like, I like the guy, but it's another case of, like, the guy plays a lot of offense, but are you really going to be locking anybody up? Probably not. Like, you might be able to do a little something with him on defense, but I just don't really feel like that's the best thing to be doing with this Julius Randle. So I think he's a cool card. He's a fun card, especially if you're like a Knicks fan, but meh. I'm not really going to be using him myself personally. Next up is our man Ruby Jabari Parker, and let me tell you, this guy's got some of the best hops in my team, some of the best finishing that I've seen in my team, but in the grand scheme of things, like he's a good rebounder and he's a really, really good finisher, but I just don't really see too much reason to use him because, again, he's such a pup on defense. I think, honestly, if we get like a better, like Jabari Parker that can get some defensive badges, things like that, we actually could have, he actually could be really solid this year, but right now, nah. Next up is my man, Daniel Marshall. Another case of, like, my guy can shoot it and that's really about it. Does have a bit of a post game, too, I think. And I'm not going to lie, I do like his jump shot 9. Some people may not be a massive fan of it, but for me, you know what? It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad when I was using Daniel Marshall. I think I had to do some, like, XP for him, like, a season or so ago, and he's actually pretty solid. Especially for his Sapphire, he's got it going on. So, you know what? Go Daniel Marshall. But, again, he doesn't really do anything other than, shoot threes for you. So, you can't really put him much higher on the list. Next up is our man, Dirk Nowitzki, who should be better, but just another case of, like, my guy can shoot. Kind of. Jumper is a bit slow, but that's really all you're getting out of, this Dirk Nowitzki. For some reason, he actually kind of sets big bodies on me, and I don't really know why. But, there's that. Again, just not really nothing that I'm excited about. And last is Ruby Jeff Green. I decided to put him on here because I see a lot of people use him in, like, limited weekends. But aside from being a decent card at everything, he's just nothing, like, crazy. He doesn't really come with clamps or any of the good defensive badges that I want to have on card, so there's that. And that actually finishes off our still decent tier. So we can start it off with the pretty damn solid, where we are clocking in with Pink Diamond Zion Williamson, who is actually, I will say, a pretty solid card. Especially when it comes to, like, post game and finishing. Like, paint mashing is actually kind of crazy on the Zion Williamson. The problem is they're trying to, like, nerf paint mashing a bit, so who knows how well this Zion is really going to hold up as time goes on. But I've never really been too impressed with him. Doesn't really shoot it too well. I've actually left this Zion open most of the time that I've seen when people just aren't hitting shots with him. So until that stops working, I'm going to keep doing it. Next up is my man, Sean Kemp, another pretty heavy, like, offensive guy. But I will say he does have some good rebounding, and he can actually play pretty good when it comes to just, like, putting your hands up, playing some nice defense, and he does have, like, the vertical and stuff like that to contest people. The problem that you'll run into is I just think his jumper is way too baited to be a top tier card. Like, offensively, he could be a Chris Webber. I just think his jumper just isn't what it needs to be that, if that makes sense. So, there's that. Next up is my man, Amethyst Miles Bridges. Really good slasher, but sadly does have, I think, the base dribble style. It might be slasher. It's either slasher or base. Either way, it's not an amazing dribble style. It's not one that you're really, wanting to have on a card, but he does have a pretty good jumper. I will say that. I do think it's pretty easy to time, at least for my own uses, we'll say. But yeah, fun card, cool card. Go Miles Bridges. Next up is my man, Larry Bird. Just imagine the Ruby Larry Bird, but with some Hall of Fame badges and just a little bit better, and then boom, you got it. Nothing crazy about these Larry Bird cards. They're just, they're all right. They're all right. Next up is my man, Lamar Odom, who's actually pretty cool. I think he's got the LaMarcus Aldridge jumper, which, not ideal, but it is halfway decent. It could be a lot worse. I'll say that. Like, it could be significantly worse. But nah. Lamar Odom is good because he's a nice 6'10 guy, so he's got good defense from that aspect and that sort of stuff. But just, not really going to jump out to you as being, like, that absolutely insane card that I feel like he was in, like, previous years. Unless he gets, like, a different jumper, maybe like the Paul George jumper again. But right now, I think he's just sitting there in the middle of the pack. Especially because he can't really get clamps, you know what I mean? So, who knows? Next up is my man, Juwon Howard, has the Amari Stoudemire jumper, which is pretty damn good. I will say that. I do think the Amari Stoudemire jumper is actually kind of solid. Is it, like, one of the best jumpers in the game? But no, it's just good. It's just good. I like it. But aside from that, Juwon Howard's a pretty good, like, post-game and finisher kind of guy, but doesn't really have the greatest defense. But I have had a lot of fun just going around and using this Juwon Howard, so I'll give him a dub for that, at least. Like, he's still good on that end of the floor. Next up is my man, Jerry Lucas. Really good post guy and has the Ray Allen jump shot, so you got to love it at least a little bit. I know throughout most of the time we've actually had this Jerry Lucas in the game, a lot of people have been talking trash on him. But I'm not going to lie, I kind of like him. I think he's kind of fun. I have a few friends that actually like Jerry Lucas as well, so, there's that. So, I don't know. I just like a power forward that can play really good in the post like Jerry Lucas can, but can also, guard up at least a little bit, shoot the three ball really nice. So all around, for me personally, I think Jerry Lucas he's kind of a baller, and I think he's a severely slept on card personally. But to each their own. Next up is our man, Sapphire Bogdanovic. Now, he does have a slow jumper and jump shot 75. It is not going to be like the fastest jumper in the world, but it definitely is like good. it's good, but it's just got that like slower speed. If you've used Jaylen Brown, you know what I'm talking about. Does come with bronze clamp, so you can play some good defense. I just like him. He's a good budget Sapphire, so you know what, he got the pretty damn solid tier. I also thought he was better than like a Jabari. I would rather use him than like a Jabari Parker, which is why I did put him up here instead. Next up is our man Antoine Jameson, who I kind of view in a similar light as Lamar Odom. Like the guys kind of do the same things. It's just based off of who you may like a little bit more. So, be that as it may. One is the Brook Lopez base. That's Antoine Jameson. The other one has LaMarcus Aldridge. So they're very, very similar cards. I just think the main W that you get with Antoine Jameson is the guy can get clamps, which is cool. Next up is my man Amari Stoudemire. Now, just imagine Sean Kemp just with a better jumper and less defense. And you got Amari Stoudemire. Good rebounder. He has Hall of Fame pogo stick. So if you're into the whole just, spamming triangle over and over and over again as your means of playing defense, boom, Amari Stoudemire is your guy. And he's a really good slasher. Actually can shoot it pretty well if you know how to time your jumpers. But in the grand scheme of things, not being able to play defense as much as Amari, has that negative, just isn't really what I want on my team. But I have seen some people have some fun with Amari because he's fun. I mean, it's fun just running to the paint every time and getting a dunk. It's just not really what I'm, looking for right now personally. Next up is my man Serge Ibaka. I decided to put him on this list. I originally wasn't, but I decided to throw him in here. I love Serge Ibaka. Was like one of the first OG like centers that I really, really loved using. I know he's a power forward on the power forwards list, but most of us love Serge Ibaka because he was a stretch big. Jump shot 26 is stupid quick. Like, just wait. The first card that gets jump shot 26 on quick or very quick is going to be one of the best shooters in the game. I can say it now. But on top of that, he was also a really good paint defender. Does get pumped a little bit by guys with like a lot higher strength, but I've still, not really got pumped too often. It's just like, Kareem, D-Rob, guys like that occasionally can do it. But I still love just the 3-and-D ability that Serge gave. And then last but not least is one of the better all-around power forwards, and that's Draymond Green. But he's sitting there, sadly, in the pretty damn solid tier. Because like Draymond's good. He does have, I think, silver clamps and stuff like that. I just think, personally, he's a bit undersized, like a bit of a pup. At least in the time that I've used him, I've still seen some people that have had fun, with this Draymond Green. I just think there's a lot of better power forwards, and he's just kind of like, he initially was one of the best, but he's kind of just like, fell to the wayside as more cards have dropped. The power creep of my team happens every year, and it's sadly happening to Draymond. And that actually wraps up pretty damn solid tier, and we can start off our baby demon tier with the man, Amethyst, Robert Covington. He starts off as a Ruby, but I think the Evo is like insanely easy. Like you can literally do it actually in one game for Robert Covington, which is pretty cool. The thing that I like about him is Robert Covington has a nice jumper, things like jump shot 63, 66, something of the like there. It is a bit on the like medium speed side. I won't say it's slow, but it's not like, the fastest. But in saying that, it is really nice. It is really fun. And he's got good defense all around. Not the best paint defender, but I've actually seen a lot of times where they try to put me in the paint while I'm using Rocco, and he's still able to, back them down and just, do his thing, enforce his will out there, still block shots on the chase down, which is pretty nice. And he has a bit of a finishing game as well. It's nothing crazy, but it's still good enough to like get him by. So all around, nice baby demon tier. Next up is Paul Millsap. I kind of view him in the same light as Robert Covington. A bit of a slower or more awkward shot, I guess we'll say. Paul Millsap has, but he's got really good all-around defense. Comes a quick first step, which is nice. He's got a post game. He's got some finishing. Like, Paul Millsap's actually pretty fire. I just wish he kind of got that Evo because it would have made it even better. Next up is my man Josh Smith, one of the best defensive cards in the game, still to this day. Like, dude, I don't know what it is about this Josh Smith, but he's different. Period. Like, he's different. I absolutely love this Josh Smith. I don't know what it is about him, but his ability all around to just come out and just play absolutely insane defense like he does is second to none. I actually can just, even against guys like David Robinson, you can just let him do his own thing, and most of the time he's coming out with a block, which is just, it's gross. Love Josh Smith, all around amazing card. And he still can do the 3-ball as well because that Brook Lopez base. Forgot to say that. Next up is Sapphire Jonathan Isaac, and it took a lot out of me to not put this Sapphire Jonathan Isaac up into S tier. I felt like I would get cooked if I put him up in S tier, so I put him down. But let me tell you, I think this Jonathan Isaac is one of the better cards, period, in the game. Not even just like one of the better Sapphires. One of the better cards, period, in my team right now. Like, the guy is that good. Jump shot 70 on quick is crazy. He has amazing defense. He can rebound well, and he's 6'11". Like, this guy's crazy. Also, go quick for step too. I gave mine brick wall and rim protector. That way he could, block more shots and set screens. And he's one of the best power forwards I could use. He's my actual starting power forward right now. Next up is my man, Pink Diamond Jamal Mashburn, who's actually just a really good all-around card. You want to suspect Jamal Mashburn, like, obviously, to be one of the better power forwards in the game. But I've actually had this Jamal Mashburn kind of cook a little bit when I've gone against him every now and then, which, I don't know, I just think it's pretty fun. Jamal Mashburn is like a 6'8" power forward. He's got some good shooting. He's some all-right defense, and Hall of Fame brick wall, which is really nice. His finishing is really good. Jump shot 1 does suck. The base dribble style does suck, but I still think he can work it, and I still think it'll be fun. Next up is our man, Ruby J. Crowder, who's basically just like a James Harden that can play power forward. Has good defense, has good shooting, like, just a good card. Like, really nothing to hate about on him, I guess. Go J. Crowder. Next up is my man, Amethyst Dennis Rodman. I know a lot of people, like, really love this card, and low-key, there's some people who probably think he's, like, a top, like, 5 power forward in the game still. But the main thing that you like Dennis Rodman for is the fact that he can play defense, like, insanely good. Like, this guy can play defense, and he gets boards that he shouldn't get. Like, there's some rebounds that this I was going to say Jay Crowder again. That this Dennis Rodman just literally shouldn't get and still comes away with anyway, which is awesome to see. But his jumper is insanely slow. And I can't put a card that has that slow of a jumper up into the S tier unless their, like, defense is, like, Andre Karolinko level. And Dennis Rodman's good, but he's just not, like, an 8K. You know what I mean? And then last but not least is my guy, Blake Griffin. They did make the Blake Griffin jumper a lot faster than it has been in previous years, which really has helped out Blake Griffin. And it should be scary for when we get a Blake Griffin with, like, a quick timing jumper, because he is going to be absolutely disgusting. But for now, I'm stick this Blake in Baby Demon, because he's a really good finisher as well. Like, dunks on everybody. Just would like a little bit better shooting, a little bit better defense. But all around, this Amethyst Blake is, like, he's still damn good. And that actually wraps up our Baby Demon tier, and we can start it off with the Demons, where we got Pink Diamond Nicholas Batum. I love this Batum. Like, I love this Batum. The guy's got amazing defense, and I'm personally just a fan of, like, cards that can, like, play versatile. You know what I mean? Like, just a card that can kind of do whatever the hell he wants, if that makes sense. Like, Batum can play make really well. He can play defense, like, 1 through 4. I would say there's certain centers that he can't guard, which is why I won't say, like, 1 through 5. But he's damn good. Still has good shooting. When you get him up to this Pink Diamond, his finishing is actually godly. He gets a bunch of really good Hall of Fame badges in there. It's just a great card. Again, I just love the versatility of having a power forward that can still play make for me, so I don't have to, fully rely on my guards to do it. It's a nice thing having this Batum on the court. Next up is my man Paul Silas, who I just recently got off the Triple Threat Online boards, and I can see why everybody really wanted to get the guy. He's a god. He's one of those Hall of Fame interceptor cards, but he also has, like, Hall of Fame, I think, what's the other one with the I? Intimidator. There we go. Has Hall of Fame Intimidator, which is just crazy. And the defense that this James Silas has brought to my team has been crazy. I think I got a game yesterday where I had 5 steals with him, and all of them were him just snagging, like, passes, which was really good to see and just really fun. He does have jump shots well, which is the Draymond Green jumper, which I want to say is one of the better jumpers, but you can still get it down a little bit slow. Can be baited at times, but it's still good. So all around, you gotta love what just James Silas can do. He's still good. He's got the shifty dribble style, so he's actually a pretty cheesy card as well. So, go James Silas. If you have a chance, I would try to get this James Silas before the season ends, because he is a really good card. Next up is my man Kevin Garnett, one of the other cards with Hall of Fame Interceptor. I think there's only like 5 cards with Hall of Fame Interceptor in the game, which is pretty cool. And obviously, it being such a good badge means that 2 of the cards that have it are up in the S tier. And I think one of the other ones we covered yesterday was in the Baby Team, which is pretty cool. But anyway, he also has, I think, Hall of Fame Intimidator, things like that as well. He's got some good finishing badges. And Kevin Garnett is another guy who I love because of his versatility, especially because I kind of like Kevin Garnett a lot more as a center than I do as a power forward. But that's up for you to make the decision on. If you like him better as a power forward, run him as a power forward. But Kevin Garnett does have a pretty painfully slow jumper. I personally don't really like it, but I know a lot of people that do. But the thing that I love about this Kevin Garnett is he's got good finishing, he's got good post game, and just the ability and threat to shoot really opens up the offense for you a little bit. And his defense is just crazy. Like, one of the most versatile defenders. He can guard 1 through 5 perfectly fine. Got silver clamps. He really can lock down the paint. Just like Josh Smith, I feel like you can kind of just let him do his thing. Alright, next up on our list is obviously Pink Diamond Giannis Antetokounmpo, the 75th anniversary one, just because he's a little bit better. There's like no stats difference or badge difference or anything like that between the two cards. They're normally Giannis and like this NBA 75th anniversary one, just so like everybody knows. The only difference between them actually is that the NBA 75th like anniversary Giannis can just get any badge, so you can add whatever you want to him, which makes him a bit better. Although I think the normal one's a bit more expensive because of like the Hakeem lock-in, which is a bit weird. But either way, Giannis is pretty damn cool. I love him. He's cool. Jumper on Quick is actually pretty nice. Giannis has a money jumper, and obviously, as you would expect, with a Giannis card, his defense is good. Like, really good. I mean, he blocked literally anything that he wants to, which is so annoying. He's another one of those cards. He doesn't have Hall of Fame interceptor, but if you add it to him, he literally can take any like ball out of the passing lane, like literally any ball. And he's actually a really good finisher as well. I use him a bit as a playmaker too, running him at my center, and I just love him. Like, Giannis is one of the best cards in the game. He is pretty overpriced, I will say that. I did have to pay a pretty penny for mine, but I did add a lot of stuff to him, so I should be able to get my MT back and more, which is pretty cool. But still, Giannis is one of the best cards in the game, like, by far. So, you know. Next up is my man Dolph Schayes, and my guy's a bucket getter. Jump shot 38 on Quick is one of the fastest jumpers I think that or one of the cards with the fastest shot right now that we have in my team, which is crazy in this Dolph Schayes. And still is a good post game. He's a pretty alright finisher in the paint. I don't love him as a perimeter defender. I find it pretty easy to cook him, you know, on there, but he's still really good. He's still really fun. And yeah, there's a reason most of the God Squads have Dolph Schayes somewhere on their team, because the guy is he's damn good. I mean, come on. That's why he's in the Demon tier. We all know it. Next up is my man Chris Webber, another one of those all-around like power forwards. But basically, I would say for Chris Webber, just imagine Amari Stoudemire with the jump shot 22, that Jimmy Butler jumper, and then with that, all you have to do is give him better defense, better playmaking, things like that. Just all around, this Chris Webber is just a better Amari Stoudemire. Better jumper, better defense, better, I would say, shooting by a lot, actually. Like, all around, this Webber is money. My friend recently picked him up to play as power forward, and he absolutely loves him. Next up is my guy Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is, you get a perfect mix of a jumper that is on a bit of a slower timing, but it's just super easy to time with insane defense and really, really good post game. You're not going to be like, you know, playmaking, breaking ankles with this, you know, Anthony Davis like you made with Giannis and Chris Webber, but you're going to get really good defense, especially on, like, you know, the interior. And I really like Anthony Davis's jumper. I think it's pretty easy to time, like, honestly, and just fun all around. So go Anthony Davis, plus he has a massive wingspan, which really helps him out on the defensive end. So Anthony Davis, that's my guy. And actually, last but not least, we have one more, is Diamond Andre Karolinko. Obviously the mass version, because why wouldn't you want blinders on a card when you could have it? So, you know, go Anthony Davis, go Andre Karolinko. I would say Andre Karolinko is the second best defender in the game, only second to Bobby Jones. And I mean, like, come on, that's because Bobby Jones is literally a demon when it comes to the defensive end. And it's really not fair to compare the two. But Andre Karolinko also has jump shot 29, which is money. The only thing that this AK actually lacks in is his dunking. That's like a 67 driving dunk and like a 50 standing, which is pretty tough. But I will say, if you play your cards right, you can still get a lot of layups. You can pay mash a little bit if you want to. So I really don't think it'll be too big of a deal for a lot of people with this AK. And it really has been, because I face this guy almost every game. So anyway, that is the end of this power forwards tier list. Let me know if you guys want to move anybody up, move anybody down, and everything like that in between. I like the list, and I like a lot of these guys. I actually have used everybody in the Demons tier, and they are absolute gods. Everybody in the Baby Demons. I've actually used almost all these cards, and they're actually pretty nice. A lot of these are pretty fun. Power forward tier, I feel like, is one of those, or position, is one of those that's pretty easy to fill out with a card that you like just pick up Jonathan Isaac, maybe even a Josh Smith. If you got Paul Silas, Batum, Robert Covington, like there's a lot of options, a lot of really good options, and most of them, aside from like Giannis, Schayes, and Webber, are cheap or either free and real nice. So let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below with the like button, subscribe button, all that wonderful stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.